Well, my next guest is a man whose reputation goes before him as a brawling, wenching boozer. He was second only to Kenneth Williams. But there is another side. He also, as it happens, writes poetry, and he's not, it says here, touched a drop for many months. Here, then, is the 1984 edition of Oliver Reed. Oliver, you're bronzed. Are you fighting fit?
I've got the gout. I've just finished. I was going to say it was a sword fight, but I think because that was a better story. It was a more romantic story. But I've been filming in Spain, and all of a sudden, I whacked my foot in the middle of a sword fight, and it went purple. One of my toes went purple, and the next day it went red. So I had a little look at it, and I said to one of the Spanish girls, I think I've got gout, and because I've had it before. And she said, gout? And I said, yes. And she said, I don't understand what gout is. I said, English are inclined to do this, speak very slowly when they're not understood. I said, El Gauto. El Gauto in the footo. So I finished the film, and then I went down to Mallorca. And the gout was still there, so I got another doctor. And I said, can you please phone up the doctor? So the doctor came in, turned out to be a lady doctor. And so, thank goodness, it was nothing worse than that. So I jumped up and I said, Doc, I got the old gouto in the footo. And so she looked at it and she went, oh! I went, and she said, that's gota. And I said, yes, I know. So she said, I'll write out a prescription. So she wrote out a prescription. And she said, dos pillows. I said, I'm not going to bed. She said, dos pillows. Said, una, and the other one, So I said, listen, a lot of people call me that I'm a pain there, but it's gauto in the footo, so I've been taking pills, and it's only just beginning to wear off. I hope it'll be okay. I've got a message for you. I had a word with Dennis down at the...
I'd like to hear.
And he said, was that his shepherd's pie on the kitchen floor, or was it the cat's junket?
He has a lovely sense of humour, like
Listen, this is hereditary, the gout, isn't it?
It is, they say. People say that you get it through eating red meat or drinking too much wine, but I think it's hereditary, yes.
Do you think... You haven't, in fact, been doing that, have you?
No, I've been on the drive for 6 weeks.
Why?
6 months?
Yes.
6 months. Damn it.
Why?
I've got a fat friend who runs a pub in Guernsey who, in a fit of sentimentality, said to me that he bet that I couldn't give up drinking for 6 months.
And you can never resist a bet?
Not that kind of a bet, because it seemed quite important to prove that one can. I think that, I have a reputation of drinking quite a bit. And,
really?
But I enjoy it.
Is it true? I've read you once drank, I've got a note here, 104 pints in 24 hours. That was beer, I presume.
No, it was 48 hours.
Ah, well, that's all right.
Yes. No, the Mirror phoned me up when I was in the Channel Islands, and they said, hello, Ollie. They said, listen, there's a fellow here from the Daily Doctor who's been talking to the Daily Mirror, and he says that if a fellow drinks 5 pints for 5 years, he's going to be dead. That's 5 pints a day. And I said, that's a little bit of nonsense, of course it is. So I went and said to see how many I could do, and ended up doing a handstand on the bar afterwards. So, mind you, I was trained at Rosslyn Park, played rugby. You've got to learn to drink.
Of course, that's the basic qualification. Now, we know that Julie doesn't touch a drop, of course, but in Scotland, I mean, it's a ferocious way of drinking, isn't it, Janet?
Oh, yes. They like their bottle and their...
That's not tea!
That happened up in Aberdeen. I went up to Aberdeen last year sometime, and after the show I was sitting in a restaurant having dinner, and a very drunk Aberdonian came over to me and he said, hey, go, he's your Margaret Thatcher, come on, he's your Margaret Thatcher. So I said, just a minute, I'm just eating something. Right over, give your Maggie Thatcher. Give your Maggie Thatcher. And this is this thing I was saying earlier on about the discipline in this woman's voice. And I heard myself saying to him, now I'm going to shake hands with you. Then you go straight back to a table, sit down, and I don't want to see you for the rest of the evening. He said, great.
And didn't see him again?
And he did. And he was, you see, this is the thing. Scots, well, he didn't object at all to what was being said to him. He didn't mind. But, they do like their little drink up there.
That's lovely. Now, in drink, Oliver, you've smashed up hotel rooms, you've shot somebody through the hand.
No, that was Keith Moon. God bless him.
You were nowhere to be seen at that time?
Oh, Moon, yeah, I made a film with him, yes. He was very strange, Keith. He was, one night he phoned me up, and he used to, for some reason, fill his room full of Swedish models. And working with the Hurl, I'd never worked with a pop group before, but it's true about the ladies. And he phoned me up one night, and he said, Oliver, just get yourself down there. He was obviously had a pillow on his face. Either that or, according to Tony Curtis, a good actor. But anyway, I went round there and he said, yeah, give me your hand with this television set. So I got over and I got one end of the television, the ladies were over that side, and I got the television set, and you're holding a television set one side and somebody's holding it the other side. And he went over to the window and he threw it out of the window. And I went like that with him and it went boom! And the porter ran out to the hotel. And he looked up and he said, what are you doing? And Mooney says, answer the phone. He says, all the radio's coming next.
One cannot see, of course, the famous scars behind your current growth. Now, that was received in boozy circumstances, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were slightly suspicious. I was in a place that I was barred in Vermont from... I got involved in an Indian wrestling, an arm wrestling match in Vermont, and I was beating this fellow. We weren't actually on the table like that because there was not enough room, so we were doing it standing up, and we were doing this, and we were crashing to the table like that, and all of a sudden a fella jumped on my back. He was his mate. So what do you do when somebody's on your back? I went, boing! As my sergeant instructor told me, and the picture fell down and it broke. And then the barman who owned the place came out and I pushed him away and tore his T-shirt. What was I going to say?
So how did you receive the dreaded wounds?
Yes.
Yeah. So I went up in court. They locked me up. I went outside and I pretended I was a kung fu fighter going... I was going, and the sergeant said, oh, man, come on, what are we doing? And they left me all alone. A friend of mine said, oh, come on, Oliver, that's ridiculous. So I stood to attention, fell down, and they manacled me here and here, and they shoved me in the neck. And they put me in a slammer with a pile of something in the corner because they hadn't emptied it. And left me there all night, and I was going through the bars. I say, who's going to kiss me goodnight then? Who's going to come and kiss me goodnight? And so the next day I was up in court for this, which was nothing, really. You would just be warned off the pub, usually in England, for a night.
Is this where you got the scar?
No, I got that in a nightclub.
Oh, I see. I've lost interest in that story. Let's go back to the wrestling bit. Now, you were the first fully frontal, that's the first time they used the phrase, wasn't it? When you wrestled with Alan Bates.
Yeah.
That's only water, I'm afraid. Ah, wait a minute, it's not till later.
What do fish do in it?
Ah, yes, I remember that one. So, did you need to be fortified before you took on this wrestling bout in the nude? Fortified?
Oh, fortified, yeah.
Well, it did, because it's a bit like this. Ken Russell was directing it, and Ken lives up in the air anyway, and he said to me, do you know about D.H. Lawrence? I said, no, nothing. And I thought I was, intellectually inferior, so he had me. He said, well, it's a story about the relationship between two men and two women and two sisters, and then they all go to bed with each other and things. There's this marvellous scene, he says, in a castle when they take off their clothes and they fight with each other.
You said, I get all that at home.
Don't know what to say to that. so I said, yeah, so we came to do the scene, and as it gets nearer with one of these new... And you've got to remember, this was, 15 years ago?
Yes, it was bold.
And if I was well hung, I wouldn't mind, but... I was only pretending.
I was only 14. No, but you were.
So, but Alan and I, we tried. I said, listen, I said, I got tennis elbow. I said, I won't be able to do that fight. I got tennis elbow. It's terrible. So I had the doctor to come in and look at it. He said, no, you haven't got tennis elbow. So I got 2 bottles, actually I got 3 bottles of vodka and a bottle of lime, because Alan likes lime juice, and soda. And we drank a bottle each, and we went on to the set. And they said, do you want a closed set? Only the particular cameramen and the key people are there. And so I said, no, it doesn't matter. So off came the old strides, down we went, waltzing around like that. And he had to do a judo throw on me. Out came the judo throw. I landed on the floor. And poor old John Thomas. He sent a little message to Brain. He phoned up and he said, hello, listen, Brain, this is John Thomas here. I'm having a little bit of a rough time, can you do something about it? So Brain said, hello, John Thomas, this is Brain here. Listen, unfortunately, Thomas, our body is getting paid for this, so we got to carry on. And with that, it was freezing cold. It looked as if it was a very warm room, but really it was a fellow with a dingleberry over a lantern. All the shadows were doing that.
While you were under the influence, rather while you've been free of the influence of drink, have you reflected on your infamous views of women, for example, that they have their moments of importance, but that a woman's real place is on her knees in the kitchen?
I think listen, without striking a serious note, I think we've got the woman who runs the most highly populated, second most highly populated country in the world is led by a woman. Our country is led politically by a woman. You can go to Eton. Senator Hart now has said he doesn't want a woman on the second ticket in America. The Queen of England. I mean, women have got so much opportunity, it seems to me now. Much more. I am sick to death of being bludgeoned over the head about women not having an opportunity now, because if I go back to the times when I didn't know what women's lib was about, they were called blue stockings in my day. And I think that, quite honestly, I'm an old-fashioned fellow, and I like to look after my birds, and I like to make love to them, and I like them to be tender, and if at all possible, I like to earn the money. In that way, I can say, listen, sweet, I'm going down to the pub.
And all...
That's what I like. That's what I
And all this sweet reason will go out of the window tomorrow when he's back on the booze. Anyway, Prime Minister, what do you think of what you've heard tonight?
Oh, I've been delighted with the Hurl affair, and I'm looking forward enormously to meeting you again in a week's time or a fortnight's time.
A fortnight.
A fortnight. I can't wait.
In the meantime, thank you very much, Oliver Reed and Julie Walters and Janet Brown.